Excellent. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. Great to see so many people interested in learning about TAPCO's connected safety technology. My name is Harrison McDonald. I'm an account manager here at Bermuda Digital. I'm joined by Denise Lewin from TAPCO, who's the solutions leader at TAPCO. Just want to get into a few housekeeping items before we get started. Unfortunately, our web cameras are not working today, so you won't get to see our faces. But if you have any questions, and we strongly encourage you to ask as many questions as you would like. There is a question function, which you can record any questions that come to mind during the presentation. And at the end, we'll take the time to address everyone's questions. Without further ado, let's get into today's topic. We're going to be discussing everything pedestrian safety related, from flashing signage to school zone beacons, RRFB systems, and new smart connected technologies that TAPCO is now offering the North American market. I'm very excited today. We've been a TAPCO partner for quite some time now, since I believe 2019. And ever since our partnership began, TAPCO has been introducing new innovations to the market and always perfecting and creating really an excellent product portfolio. First of all, we're at Bermuda Digital. Bermuda Digital, we are experts in intelligent transportation solutions, and this includes a wide variety of applications: automated warning, road safety, work zone safety, pedestrian safety, data collection, traffic sensors. If it's an ITS project, we can likely accomplish it. We specialize in design, consultation, product supply, system integration, project management, ongoing maintenance, and of course, we're part of the Bermuda Canada group of companies. The work companies that you can see here on your slide, we're associated with through Bermuda Global. And I want to turn it over to Denise to introduce TAPCO. Go ahead, Denise.
Hey, Harrison, can you hear me?
Of course, loud and clear.
Perfect. I was having speaker issues just a second ago. So thank you for having me today. I'm Denise Lewin with TAPCO. So TAPCO, most of you are probably familiar with TAPCO at this point, but we have been around since the 50s. So we're coming up. This year is our 70th anniversary, and we've been in the traffic safety space and specifically protecting pedestrians for quite some time now. It's really important to us that we are going the extra mile to provide that extra layer of safety in all of the communities in the United States and Canada. We have many systems, as you can see on the page here. We specialize in the wrong way space, speed awareness, the smart school zone systems, which we'll be talking about today, smart curve warning, pedestrian, smart crosswalks. We do have some parking solutions, and then specialty warning, which I know Harrison's going to jump into with some of our blinker products as well. Recently, just this last year, we did merge with Traffic Logics, which you all may be familiar with. They're up in Montreal. So we now have a Montreal facility, and we also have our facility here in Milwaukee, where I am located.
Excellent. Thank you, Denise. So I'll just quickly get into the table of contents for our webinar today. We're going to talk about, to kick off, we're going to talk about the SmartHub, a new controller that was released from TAPCO, which allows all of TAPCO systems to utilize the same intelligence and allows all these TAPCO systems to communicate to a centralized monitoring software platform. Denise will discuss the SmartHub, how the systems are connected, and the benefits of the new SmartHub controller. I'll talk about the TAPCO blinker sign portfolio. This is a wide portfolio of flashing, regulatory signage, and custom signage. And then we'll get into smart school zone systems, smart crosswalk systems, and then talk about new enhancements that TAPCO is bringing to the North American market to support crosswalks, including passive detection, remote monitoring, and enhanced crosswalk lighting with activatable downlighters. At the end of our presentation, we'll get into questions and answers. And again, if you have any questions, please record them in the questions tab. We'll get to all your questions at the end of the presentation. So Denise, go ahead. We can start with the benefits of the SmartHub.
Thanks, Harrison. Yeah, so as the solutions leader for the mid-block segment here at TAPCO, I do get the honor of launching our new smart connected systems. So SmartHub is the platform, and inside of all of our systems that will ship connected, we'll have a smart controller. that connects to the cloud and to our new cloud platform that we've developed. You can see some screenshots here. I have a ton of slides we'll try to run through, but what that really gives us by connecting your system to the cloud is the ability to see your systems in real time wherever they're located. It gives you tracking of your systems, which is like health. You can see lights out in the system. You can see if something is knocked down. We recently had a customer who's got a curve warning system who had one of those chevrons knocked down, right? So that's a common thing sometimes with curve warning systems. And they could see that in the system that they had a pole down, right? So that's great to be able to see across all of your systems and getting all of that information in real time as well. Really important to this conversation today, since we are talking about school zone systems, is that ability to schedule remotely for all your school zone warning systems. So if you've got multiple systems across your municipality, you can go into SmartHub, you can see all of those systems, and you can set the schedule for all of them remotely. That cuts down on your folks in the field having to go out and maintain those systems directly, whether that's connecting via Bluetooth or having to hard connect into the system to do the schedule. You can really do that easily from anywhere that you are. That's your desk at work or your couch at home. You can do and see all of those scheduling capabilities, as well as really the health of the system as well. One of the new things that we're launching, and we'll talk about later in the presentation, is our smart systems that are smart enhanced crosswalks. So when we talk about enhancements, we have cameras hooked up to your pedestrian crossing, we have radar, and then we'll also have the SafeWalk, which is our crosswalk illuminator. So you'll have the ability to configure all of those systems in SmartHub. So not only can you see all your systems, you can configure them, and with our smart camera, you'll be able to see the video in real time, download the video as well. So really, we're getting into the smart ecosystem, launching these products into the market. Going forward, specific systems for TAPCO will ship smart. So you won't have to ask for a smart system. It'll automatically ship smart, and then we'll also have 1 year included in all smart systems that go out the door. All right, Harrison, you can flip for me. Thank you. Harrison's in control. Harrison's in control, guys. So, all right. So when it comes to, we talked a little bit about system visibility. So just want to give you a feeling of what that looks like in SmartHub. So on your home screen, when you log in, you'll be able to see all of the different types of systems that you have right on your home screen. You'll be able to click into those systems, and then you'll also be able to see active alerts for any of your connected devices, whether that's knockdown. You can see on the screen here, we've got a couple of the alert options here: knockdown, LED out. If your systems have lost contact with SmartHub, you'll also be able to see if there's a connection issue as well. So these are just a couple of the things that you can see in SmartHub as far as just your overall system-wide visibility. All right, Harrison, you can click. All right, so the map view. Something we'll talk about, the controller has GPS inside of it. Once you log into SmartHub, you can go to your systems and go to the map function that we have and be able to see all of your systems on the map. So this is an example of one of our customers in Canada, and they have a bunch of pedestrian crossing systems. So they can log in, they can see all of their systems on the map, and then be able to click into an individual system. On here as an example, you can see some exclamation points on the map. That's indicating that there's an alert on that system. So they would need to click into that, and they could see any of the alerts. But it really gives you that, that perspective of, hey, where are my systems? Where's my ped crossing system? Where's my school zone system? And you'd be able to see all the different system types in one map. Thanks, Harrison. You picked up my cue of silence. This is the data and the health monitoring part of SmartHub. I'd love to give you a live demo. It's really hard to do that in this in this format of a webinar. So what we're showing is just some snippets of some of the information that you can see in SmartHub. We've got the ability to see this in your phone. So we do have this website. It is mobile responsive, so you can access SmartHub via your cell phone, as well as logging in and seeing health data, from your phone, as well as from our website directly, off of a laptop. But this is some of the data. So if you have folks that want to maintain and do maintain your systems, they'll be able to check in on your individual system on a system level as to what might be happening with that system if there is potentially an issue. So this is great for folks to be able to look at system health and manage from, afar. I know we talked a little bit about alerts. There's a lot of things about alerts in SmartHub. You can set alerts within the system. You can decide by user how you want those alerts to come to you and what alerts that you want to be notified of. So right now you can see my user. I'm set up to receive email notifications, and I can also receive text messages of alerts as well. If I want to know that an LED is out or a knockdown, I can just select those specific alert categories in SmartHub system and program those ones to either text or email to me. And then, I can ignore the rest of those, or if you want service technicians to maybe get some of those other alerts, they can set up their user on an individual level to get those alerts. On the left-hand side, you can also see the cell phone view of when you receive an alert and what that might look like, telling you, hey, this LED is out, just giving you a snapshot of what the actual alert looks like, tells you the event, what's happening, and where that might be happening and what's going on with your alert. Here's where I think the benefit of SmartHub and school zone systems is really key in the remote scheduling capability that we have. It's really user-friendly, easy to use. You can see on the left-hand side here an example of a schedule inside of SmartHub. You can take those schedules, you can drag and drop them across multiple systems. So in the actual platform, you can say, hey, this is my schedule for elementary schools, and this is my schedule for high schools. And if you have multiple high schools and elementary schools that apply the same schedule, you can drop and drag that schedule across, the school. And it's just that easy to set up schedules inside of the system. And then you can look and you can apply your schedule. You can easily look, figuring out, when that's flashing, as well as changing that or modifying or overriding that schedule for temporary, instances. So this is a great part about remote scheduling. If you have a situation that's happening, whether that is an event, I know in my community, we have football games, and everybody likes to go out to the football games on Friday nights. We can change those beacons flashing or the school zone warning lights to flash on a temporary schedule. So we can easily create those temporary schedules to flash during that football game, notify drivers that, hey, there's something going on in this school zone. I know I mentioned it already, but when you purchase a system that has a smart controller in it and it ships connected, you will get 1 year included in the SmartHub subscription. So some of the things I want to talk about the smart controller. On the right-hand side, you'll see a picture of our smart controller, and this is what it looks like. It is really easy to install different components into our smart controller. We wanted to make it easy for our installers to connect and then use the controller. I don't have a picture of the inside of any of our systems, but the wiring and what the wiring looks like inside of it, it's very clean. It's really easy for our installer base to connect whatever components that they need to connect to the system. Internally within the smart controller, so some of the things that are different than our legacy controller that we have, you have the ability to connect to it with the GPS. It has a cellular modem in it. It has a radio, so if you have multiple poles that need to talk to each other, there is a radio in there so we can bind those systems together. And then it also has that Bluetooth connectivity. So in the case that you didn't want to purchase a SmartHub system, you still have the ability to use our Bluetooth capability to connect to that system and also control it via Bluetooth. Via an app you can get in the Apple Play Store or the Google Play Store for Android. If you have older systems today, so if you have older TAPCO systems, a really great thing that we can do is we can upgrade your system. So if you've got a side-of-pole cabinet, we usually can rip out the guts of the system and we can upgrade that with a smart controller panel. We do have some things that we want to be cautious of. We need to look at the system, kind of review the age of the system. So what we're generally saying is that systems that are from 2018 and forward, we can generally upgrade those. For school zone systems, we do have to look at the beacons that are attached to make sure that that our controller can handle the current that those beacons are drawing. So there's a little bit of, I think, thought process there when we're quoting upgrades and kits. But the really cool thing that if you do retrofit any of your existing TAPCO made systems that are in the field, we will renew your warranty for 5 additional years on anything that's out there in the field. So yeah, the last thing on here I'll touch on is integration with other systems. So we do have APIs. We can send data to other third-party systems. We can build new APIs, but there is potentially an additional cost to some of that. So just keep that in mind. If you have another platform that you're looking to connect to, we can take that data, and there would be, some integration work that has to be done.
Excellent. Thank you, Denise. And yeah, if you are interested in upgrading to a SmartHub with a legacy TAPCO system, just send us your serial number of that TAPCO system, and I can send it over to TAPCO. And that's generally how we can determine what your existing system had and analyze the feasibility of the upgrade. Is that right, Denise?
That's correct. We can find all that information out with that either serial number. We can look up the original sales order, and we can go from there.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I'm going to discuss some of our more TAPCO-focused hardware products right now, and the first one on the list is smart blinker signs. We've been providing smart blinker signs to the Canadian market for many years now, a lot of experience in this area. And really, flashing signage, it actively commands driver attention, and it doesn't rely on the driver headlights to be visible at night. And we have studies, TAPCO studies, which have shown that driver compliance improves as high as 52% when flashing signage is installed over standard retroreflective signage. And these signs are available for a wide array of standard signage. So nearly every Book 5 sign can be ordered as a blinker sign, along with any custom legend requests. And now if you wanted to, you could also order these signs with the TAPCO SmartHub controller. This would allow for the full remote monitoring potential, along with the ability to schedule operation or to activate the sign from an external input like a radar. In general, these signs are designed to flash 24/7 with an adequately sized solar system to support that operation. But again, if you're using this sign as an input, using an activation input to run the sign, a great example of that is the curve warning system, where typically a lead chevron will have a low power radar, which activates and then activates the rest of the chevrons in sequence to guide vehicles across a tight curve. It's a system we install very regularly for the ministry, for the 407, for municipalities who have high-speed roadways with tight curves. And I finally wanted to touch on the Legend Viz sign. Legend Viz sign is a new sign from TAPCO, and it includes a highly visible backlit legend, which illuminates from dusk through dawn. So it's going to illuminate at night, and it greatly improves the driver visibility. There's a few examples of Legend Viz here I wanted to show you, specifically the Legend Viz stop sign. Again, we have some studies that show that the Legend Viz improves legibility up to nearly 100% at night through this illuminated backlit legend. It's great for areas which have low ambient light, perpendicular offset angles, or are just problematic locations in general. These are all excellent candidates for the Legend Viz sign. It's available in stop, wrong way, and do not enter. There's 2 options you can order with the Legend Viz. One is simply the illuminated backlit legend, and the other option is the backlit legend with embedded LEDs which flash 24/7. I want to talk briefly about school zone, smart school zone products. Of course, everybody knows there was the discontinuation of the automated speed enforcement program across Ontario. And now more than ever, solutions for warning and slowing down motorists are becoming more and more critical in our school zone, community safety zones. Fortunately, TAPCO has a very wide product library specifically for this. The products are high quality, they're robust, they're reliable. They're all excellent systems to alert drivers and enforce school zone speed limits. The focus today, I'm going to really focus on flashing school zone warning systems and smart school zone crossing systems, or PXOs. But TAPCO, as we've already mentioned, has a wide product library, and it also includes radar feedback signs through traffic logics, VMS trailers, and speed cameras for a comprehensive safety portfolio. So typically, school zone warning systems, they're used to enforce a temporarily reduced regulatory speed limit in the community safety zone or school zone, and this is when the beacons are active. So these systems are generally configured with a set schedule to flash when children are arriving to school, when they're leaving from school, or they're out to lunch. Of course, TAPCO provides a very flexible school zone offering with flexibility in the power source. You can either use solar, you can use AC power, you can use streetlight power. These can be configured to operate with dual horizontal flashing beacons, or dual vertical beacons, or a single beacon, along with, of course, the required regulatory static signage. And of course, the SmartHub controller, which will be included with all new school zone safety systems that are ordered, which allow for local schedule management through Bluetooth or hardwired connection, or of course, remote management. And again, this is the real great feature about the SmartHub software in relation to school zone flashing beacons. As Denise already stated, you're already getting 1 year shipped with this system. So you have the full opportunity to try out all the remote scheduling features that the platform has to offer. And of course, if you have events which require real-time schedule changes like PA days, of course, snow days, we get a lot of snow days here in Ontario, special events, you can change this schedule remotely from the comfort of your office, from the comfort of your couch. And on top of that, you gain access to all the features that SmartHub has to offer: system-wide visibility, actionable data, real-time alerts, a full platform that you have included with these systems for 1 year, so you can make your decision on whether you'd like to renew for the future. And finally, I want to just discuss quickly here the reliability of TAPCO engineered solar systems and this product in general. First of all TAPCO beacons are IT compliant. And so this guarantees that your beacons are meeting strict brightness, color, and temperature durability requirements. But this ensures that your beacons remain highly visible and legally defendable in any weather condition. TAPCO solar flashing warning systems are also backed by a comprehensive warranty covering the solar panel for 10 years, the system for 5 years, and the batteries for 3 years. On top of all this, TAPCO manufactures some of the most reliable solar systems in the North American market. Our standard solar offering, the offering that we supply here most commonly to the Ontario market, includes a 65-watt solar panel and a 50 amp-hour AGM battery. This configuration is sized to ensure consistent operation during the worst periods for sunlight and ensures a large solar autonomy budget for extended periods of no sunlight. For example, during December, with a worst case estimate of 1.5 hours of sunlight and a 4-hour operation duration per day for the system, we are still a net positive in solar output. We're generating 70 watt hours per day and we're consuming 47 watt hours per day. So even in our worst case scenario where we have limited sunlight in the dead of December, we're still generating a net positive power output. On top of that, the system, if there's no sun for a whole week, we're okay. The system is sized such that we can retain solar autonomy for that full week duration. Denise, is there anything you'd like to add to this before I jump into the next topic?
Harrison, you're doing a great job.
Excellent, excellent. So I want to talk quickly here about pedestrian crossovers, or more specifically, smart crossovers. So I'm sure everybody here has background with pedestrian crossovers. Well, they've really become a staple of safety here in Canada. And as you can see, they're installed as a 2-pole system, one on either end of the crosswalk. They typically include a power source, a push button, flashing warning lights, and regulatory signage. And when the push button is pressed or a pedestrian is detected in the crosswalk, the lights flash and they alert drivers to the presence of pedestrians. And we've supplied countless TAPCO pedestrian crossovers to municipalities within Canada. And I know many of you are already familiar with our crosswalks, but I wanted to give you a quick refresher on what TAPCO is bringing to the table and highlight some of the new safety innovations we're bringing to the market. So first of all, TAPCO crossovers are very customizable. They support a wide range of warning enhancements, push button options, and power sources. And what Denise is going to get into later is the new smart enhancement options for crosswalks, specifically a VRU radar. And this is a small, low power radar that can be powered through solar, which will monitor the crosswalk, detect anybody entering the crosswalk, and automatically flash the warning lights. A camera system, and this will be used for contextual monitoring and video clip generation and recording. And finally, crosswalk illuminators. Again, crosswalk illuminators are installed on the RRFB poles, and when the push button is pressed, they illuminate the crosswalk, providing enhanced visibility to any pedestrians who are in the middle of the crosswalk or entering the crosswalk. Very useful for pedestrian safety, especially in areas with low lighting, where there maybe isn't adequate street lighting provided. Typically in Ontario, our municipalities follow OTM Book 15 to determine whether a pedestrian crossing is warranted, and these factors can include daily pedestrian volume, average vehicle speeds, average daily traffic, the road width, etc. There's a whole wide range of regulations that municipalities follow to determine whether a crossing is needed. But logistically, TAPCO smart crossings can be deployed anywhere, regardless of access to permanent power. Common applications include unsignalized mid-block crossings, schools, college campuses, in parks, shopping districts, etc. Very flexible system to deploy with a wide range of different options for ordering. So when you're ordering a pedestrian TAPCO crossover, you need to remember that these pedestrian crossovers are highly modular, and we can configure the perfect solution to fit your needs. The first thing you want to do is choose your power source. TAPCO crossovers support solar, AC power, and streetlight power. Solar options can be sized to support the expected number of daily activations and the associated mounting infrastructure. For instance, we have a 19-watt top of post option, which is ideal for telespar posts. We have a 30-watt round option, which is ideal for mounting on top of a round post. And of course, our 65-watt system, which offers the most robust solar autonomy, but also supports top of post, pole, and side of pole solar mounting. So very flexible options for power depending on your needs. The next thing you want to choose is your warning alert options. This could be flashing LED signage. This could be RRFB light bars, or this could be a variety of different beacon configurations, whether it's dual horizontal, dual vertical, etc. One thing to note is our systems support up to 8 LED light bars, and that means 2 RRFB light bars per pole and 2 RRFB light bars per mast arm. This is an option that you can choose to go with, and that would need 8 light bars total. Finally, you would choose your activation options, and we support a wide range of different push buttons. Of course, the Polera Bulldog, the Polera INX, the Campbell Guardian Wave, or if you don't want to use the push button, we can support a 24/7 flashing crosswalk with no push button. All crosswalk systems, as Denise mentioned, will be shipped with SmartHub controllers, and we are, of course, shipping 1 year of monitoring software included. So we strongly recommend you take advantage of this, explore the platform while you have the first year for access, and then you can determine whether the features are useful and you want to renew the subscription.
And Harrison, I'll just add one thing about the smart controller. It does connect to the closest network in the area. So if you're, depending on where you're located and the cellular activity in the area, it will find the best signal on the network, and it will connect to that network. So regardless of location in the US or Canada, it can find that network and connect. Something that I wanted to just mention in case that was a concern for anybody on the call.
Excellent, that's a great feature. Thank you, Denise. I just want to end with one final comment on pedestrian crossovers. There are a lot of configurations, a lot of enhancements, but your standard system is going to look something like this: 2 poles, 2 solar, a solar cabinet, a solar panel, double-sided light bars, whether they're powder-coated black or powder-coated yellow, a push-button activation source, regulatory signage, and of course, SmartHub controller, SmartHub software. When it's pressed, the warning lights will activate between 20 and 30 seconds, and of course, SmartHub will record all of your system activations and allow you to remotely manage all of your warning devices. Okay, so Denise, if you want to take over from here on crosswalk illumination, and then we'll get into the rest of this presentation.
Awesome, thanks, Harrison. Many of you may be familiar with the TAPCO product. It's called SafeWalk. This is our I call it crosswalk, but it sounds like I should call them crossovers. So this would be our crossover illuminator. TAPCO was actually the first traffic safety company to create a crosswalk illuminator. So that really illuminates, whatever crossing length that you have. We have options here for brightness and levels of brightness inside of SmartHub, where you can set this to lanes. So it really can do up to 6 lanes. So that would be having an illuminator on each side of the crosswalk. So on each pole, reflecting and pointed into the crosswalk here. So that's a great function of SmartHub, as well as being able to set the brightness, the level of brightness that you need for your specific crosswalk. Why is illumination so important? We have seen, and there's studies across the country, that pedestrians' death and fatalities happen most often at night. So illuminating them in the crosswalk is going to be crucial for their safety and being able to see and protect the pedestrians at a greater level. So TAPCO has created this product, and then this, I would say, is our next generation of SafeWalk. We've had SafeWalk around for a couple years, but this new SafeWalk connects to our smart controller, and it has a little bit more functionality and features than our original SafeWalk. I think, Harrison, if you click to the next slide, there's a picture of the actual unit here. So as I was saying, you can see in the app, the SmartHub app, the ability to configure it by number of lanes, and then how many what light level that you need in that area. So maybe you have ambient lighting and you need more light, or maybe you have no lighting and you want to have it on the highest brightness setting that you can. It also allows you to set the LED timeout. Usually that does go with the push button activation, and however long that you have that system activated for in your crosswalk. So if it's 30 seconds, 45 seconds, which is all configurable in SmartHub, that'll usually match the LED timeout here, but you actually can configure it if you need a custom configuration for that. Our new version of the SafeWalk that you can see here, it's hard to see in this picture, but on the bottom, there's a lens that does offer a little bit more backlighting into the crosswalk. So it actually illuminates the pedestrians and into the curb before they start crossing. So that was another great innovation that we had with this particular version of SafeWalk. All right, another illumination product from TAPCO would be our Vismark product. So this would be illuminating any advanced warning to a pedestrian crosswalk. So in this example here, you can see our Vismark product is illuminating those shark teeth on the yield pedestrian here to yield sign. So that's a great feature. If you click to the next slide, Harrison, can show some options too as well. But this is what it looks like in real life. You can see the illuminator for the SafeWalk illuminating the pedestrian crosswalk, but then you can also see our Vismark product illuminating the precursor to the crosswalk. And you can see it in both ways, from top to bottom, what the driver would see in real time as they're driving up, and yield here signs. You can see it also enhanced with a blinker sign as well. So giving just more driver awareness at night, I think, is the key here, because we all know that that's the area of pedestrian safety that is most important. And then on the next slide, just a couple options for Vismark. We have the ability to order that in white, in red, or in yellow. And what you want to do there is you want to be able to match the signage and the color of your signage that you have up for Bismarck. So if that's a red sign, a stop sign, you want that to be a red Bismarck, a red light coming through Bismarck, etc. So also some options for illuminating the crosswalk in different ways. I've seen applications of Bismarck where they're illuminating both sides of the crosswalk in a yellow, and then they have also have the SafeWalk illuminator illuminating the entire crosswalk at the same time. So again, just trying to provide as much visibility to those pedestrians for our drivers as possible. Two of the other enhancements, so Harrison gave away the camera already and the passive detection, but very excited to launch these products and kind of dive a little deeper into those key points and the advantages that Harrison talked about. So we've got, I think on the next slide, we'll start with our VRU radar, and that is our passive detection radar from TAPCO. So what does this do? The radar, once a pedestrian approaches the crosswalk and makes movements to cross into the actual crosswalk, so it's looking at them while they're crossing, even before they start to cross, and it's detecting their motion. And as they start to advance into the crosswalk, it's it's setting off and activating those warning devices that you have on the pole, whether that's RRFB or if that's a push button, or I'm sorry, blinker sign. So either it'll do the same thing as a push button, essentially, where it's taking away that pedestrian need to push the button. So in all cases, though, and recommended by the MUTCD and the CMUTCD, you still would be required to have that push button because they still have to have the ability to push it. But this is an added layer of protection for our pedestrians that, yes, they could push the button, but if they don't push the button, we are going to basically essentially push the button on their behalf and activate those warning devices so that the drivers can see them. The stats currently are showing that pedestrians are only pushing the button about 30% of the time. So this gives us 70% more protection. I like to say 100%. We can activate all of those warning devices and really warn those drivers of the pedestrian. So again, great tool for safety. Go ahead, Harrison, you can advance. So how does it work? I think I mentioned it a little bit. It's detecting them as they're moving into the crosswalk. From the installation perspective, most of our peripherals are smart. So what they do is they auto detect upon installation and identify themselves as a radar, a camera, or a SafeWalk. So they're easy to install and also easy to configure in our SmartHub platform. And then within SmartHub, what you will see is a differentiation between activation data for radar versus push button. So you could easily see, depending on the crosswalk location, what activations happen passively versus push button activations. I think it's really great to understand and look at the trend of the pedestrians and what they're really doing in specific crosswalks. So example, we have a lot of school zone systems loaded up in here, school zone crossings, and we can see that in those crossings, what percentage of students push the button versus go through and it passively activates on their behalf. So really interesting data that we can kind of see the landscape across the systems there. Another product that TAPCO has launched into the market is our crosswalk camera. So that is it provides a bird's eye view of the activity that's happening in your crosswalk. That's something that you can go into the SmartHub platform. You can easily look at and pull recordings. You can download the recordings down to your device and use that recording in any manner that you would want to. So that's really creating the ability for you to understand what's happening. If there's an incident, potentially an incident in a crosswalk, you can go into the system, review for that incident, and then use that in however manner that you would like to use that. You can push through, Harrison, to the next slide. I think there's more here. what's really great about both our VRU radar and our SafeWalk and crosswalk camera combinations, so you can see all of them here on the pole, is that they can all run on a solar package. Really at TAPCO, we thought this was very important to provide the ability to run on a solar package, bringing this to the market so that it can scale for all of our customers. You don't have to have AC power to run all of these systems. They can run on, I know Harrison talked about the 65 watt side of pole system. I think that's pretty common. It can run on that system. We have tested and tried it on the 30 watt top of pole system as well. So a lot of these can work together depending on your power, where you are located and the power and the solar generation that you need in your area. We can fit the right package for your needs, but it was really important to TAPCO to bring solutions to market that were solar friendly. So coming back to the crosswalk camera for a second, you can see Harrison has flipped here. It provides a bird's eye view of that. This is an image of what's captured in the crosswalk. So you get that bird's eye view, you can see the activity, and then on our next screen inside of the platform here, you can see the actual recording. So pulling down all of the recordings, this is an active crosswalk that we have here in Wisconsin. You can see the number of recordings and then click into the event and play those specific recordings and see what's happening in that crosswalk. So really crucial information, confirmation. If you're looking to review an incident, you can go right into that crosswalk. We recommend these types of systems for high capacity usage. If there's a lot of usage at a specific crossing and you really need to dive into that, this is where we recommend the combination of the VRU radar, the camera, as well as the SafeWalk.
Excellent, thank you, Denise. That was great. At this point, any questions, please feel free to put them in our questions tab here. Oh, we got some questions showing up already here. Excellent. Denise, do you have anything else to add?
No, I think we tried to cover as much as we could in 45 minutes, Harrison.
Yeah, excellent. That was a lot of information, and thank you for the comprehensive breakdown of what TAPCO is bringing to the market. I guess now we'll jump in and take some questions. Question, is the equipment compatible with extreme weather?
Absolutely, everything has been weather tested. We can provide information on the systems and as far as like NEMA testing standards and all of that information. Yes, everything has been tested for weather and will hold up in all weather scenarios. Excellent. Rain, snow, what else could hurricane? I don't know about hurricanes, but
the most, I guess, the primary consideration when thinking with Canada again is the snow and northern climates with low levels of sunlight. And yeah, like Denise mentioned earlier, let us know where you're from, which part of Ontario, which part of Canada you're from, and we'll ensure that the equipment is sized for the appropriate solar systems to support your activations and your geographical location.
We've definitely tested it here in Wisconsin, which I feel like we do get similar snow, cold weather temperatures in all of our equipment, in all of our pilots too, in Canada as well. Everything has held up.
Exactly. Yeah, we haven't had any issues in Canada with TAPCO solar systems, and Wisconsin it does get a lot of extreme weather. I'm just gonna, this is a long one here. The activation period of the systems was listed on one slide as being 20 to 30 seconds. We have one very wide street with no median boulevard and a majority of user population of seniors and tourists, both groups being slow or large groups / straggling crossers, so a lot of laggards at the crossing. Sure. Is it possible to extend the activation period beyond 30 seconds if necessary?
Yes, in SmartHub that is completely customizable, so you can set it. I don't think there's actually a limit that you can set it for, but yes, that's something that in the platform you can configure it to your specific crossing needs. I wish we could do and had the ability to do a live SmartHub demo. I think it would be really enlightening. So I'd make the offer if anyone wants to learn more about the platform, we could take that and do like a specific demo with whoever's interested.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, let me know after this. I'll reach out to everybody with a follow-up. And just let us know if you want a demo, and we'll certainly have that arranged with Denise and TAPCO. Next question. Do you have an intersection conflict warning system? And I know we do have one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We've had the intersection conflict warning system for quite some time. We don't have it in the smart ecosystem at this time, but that is something that as we continue to push our products into SmartHub, that particular system type will be on our and is on our roadmap to make smart. But we still sell the intersection conflict warning system today.
Yes, and I can certainly provide you with some examples of conflict warning systems we've done in the past here in Ontario. If you're interested in learning more, I'll send that to you after this presentation. Next question. Do you have a recommended configuration for temporary or movable crossovers?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I didn't touch on it in this presentation. We actually launched last week to the market a mobile RRFB cart. So you can get the benefit of taking that from place to place. So it's a 2-cart system that we're offering. Happy and Harrison, I don't know if we've actually shared that with you all, if you've seen our press release on that particular product launch. It is so new. It launched last week at ATSA, when we were at ATSA. So we can definitely send information about that, but that would be a temporary crosswalk application.
That's great. I haven't, that's the first I've heard about it as well, I guess. It's great to know there's something temporary that municipalities can deploy quickly as needed. And once you send me that information, and I'll make sure we circulate that to the appropriate respondees.
Yep, I'd love to.
Excellent. Well, I think that's all we have. Oh, no, we have one more. Oh, we have more questions coming in. Sorry about that. I gotta find out where I was in this list. Okay, will you be sending a copy of the slide deck for future reference? Yes, I will certainly send that to all attendees. Next question. The crosswalk treatments shown seem best suited to low light rural locations. What about busy urban locations? Any suggestions on how to enhance crosswalk visibility with competition for driver attention?
So if we're talking about lighting there, we've got the SafeWalk system that you can deploy on anything, and you can configure the lighting levels to your specific needs. So there's, you can make it brighter or less bright depending on the crosswalk configuration and what you need in that area. If we're talking about other enhancements like VRU radar and the crosswalk camera, we definitely recommend those for high traffic areas to, number one, passively activate the warning devices and alert the drivers of activity in the crosswalk, as well as the crosswalk camera for confirmation of, especially in those busy areas, if there's something happening, you really want to understand the behavior of the drivers and the pedestrians, and if you might need to apply another application. So I would also throw in there that radar feedback signs can be great if there is a high amount of traffic and you're having issues with driver speeds and driver awareness.
Exactly, 100%. And one thing I wanted to mention as well is if you have a type B crosswalk, installing additional light bars under the overhead signs on the mast arms, whether unidirectional or back-to-back, is something that TAPCO RRFBs can do out of the box with the SmartHub controller. And it's something we've done very often to really draw attention to the drivers, having those mast arms over the traveling lanes and then having the flashing RRFBs on those mast arms does draw additional attention to the RRFB when it's active. Next question. Do you offer a temporary illumination system that could aid our traffic control personnel as they flag in nighttime conditions?
I'm not sure. Is that like are we thinking work zone in that case, you think? Harrison?
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming. A traffic flaggers. So that would be, I think, the stop and slow paddle flaggers. I believe that would be controlling traffic, you know, in a construction zone.
Yeah.
Anything
I mean,
about?
yeah, we could definitely look at our distributed catalog items that we have. I don't know if this applies to a crossing situation necessarily, or more of a illuminating that specific person that's flagging. So that's definitely something that we could look into. I'm sure we do have products that we could suggest.
Excellent, excellent. Can the smart crosswalk system integrate into a pedestrian crossover level 1 type A or just level 2? I'm just going to Google what a level 1 type A system. I believe that's one without the light bars. Oh, a level 1 type A. Okay, now that is the overhead lighting with the circular amber beacons. They're popular in the city of Toronto. Can the smart crosswalk integrate into a level 1 type A? So I guess what our attendee is mentioning is, could you integrate this controller with a third-party crosswalk system? I don't believe so, because I'm not sure if we could the level 1 type A. So could you integrate the SmartHub controller into a separate, maybe a third-party RFB system, Denise?
So there are inputs on the controller. So there's multiple options for aux inputs. It'd have to be something that would be tested to see what kind of component it is, but we do offer the option to push into the controller. I would just be careful depending on the current draw and what it needs to operate. So something that we definitely have to test and look into. There are so many options for third-party components out there. I would be careful about putting anything in there without really talking to our engineering team to see the current draw and if that would create any issues for operating the system in general, and potentially putting the other warning lights and the power draw at risk for those. So we'd have to look at the specific custom situation.
100%. Yeah, thank you. Next question. TAC lighting manual recommends min of 20 lux to 40 lux for mid-block crossing, depending on low, medium, or high pedestrian conflict. Our slide says 20 lux. Can we do 30 or 40 lux if warranted?
Yes, I believe that's possible. The minimum that we have in there, so like the minimum, what I want to say, option for like a 2-lane crossing, so that's like our medium light level, is 20 lux, and then we do have a brighter option after 20 lux. I'd have to get the specific information as to how bright that can get and what lux level that meets, so we can definitely follow up further on that specific question, Harrison, if you've got the person that's asking.
100%. Yeah, we'll definitely follow up with you on that. Next question. Is the intersection conflict warning system for unsignalized intersections? And yes, it is for unsignalized intersections. I'll give you a little breakdown of how that works. It's essentially designed for high-speed rural intersections where you have a minor road with vehicles waiting and a major road with high-speed vehicles that don't have a stop sign. So you detect vehicles on the minor and alert the major road that there's a vehicle waiting at the minor road, and then you detect vehicles at the major road and alert vehicles at the minor road that there is a vehicle approaching through the major road. And the alerting is done through either flashing signage or flashing beacons, and the activation is the flashing infrastructure, and the alerting is usually a low power radar. The whole system is solar powered, so it can be deployed in rural intersections where there is no access to permanent power. And again, it's designed to give drivers an awareness of what's going on the major roads, and drivers on the major roads awareness of who's waiting at the minor roads behind the stop signs.
Yeah, it's really important for those applications where you might have a blind curve or something that you can't see the oncoming traffic.
Exactly, yeah. I can certainly send some more information on this unsignalized conflict warning system to you as well. Are technicians available to service nationwide? And if so, how long would it take to complete the repairs? Is my municipalities outside the GTA? I have concerns service longer than expected. Unfortunately, we do provide pretty comprehensive remote support for municipalities outside the GTA. Our Stinson ITS or Mutant Digital, we are located in Concord, Ontario, which is Vaughan. So we can definitely service in Ontario. Outside of Ontario or in very rural areas of Ontario, we were happy to support remotely, or we can certainly connect you with TAPCO remote support, who are very competent and very good at getting back to technicians nationwide. So we certainly can support anything Ontario, but if we can't physically support, then we can certainly arrange to have a remote support call with TAPCO. The next question, would lighting levels meet TAP requirements for PXOs? I believe this is related to the SafeWalk Illuminators. Meet TAP requirements for PXOs.
I hear you Googling, Harrison. So the one thing that we are getting together for the SafeWalk, so we've had a couple questions on this, specifically in Canada, is the RP8. So we are preparing a document that we can include for SafeWalk, and to maybe that covers some of the questions that you might have on lighting levels as well, and coverage of the illuminator into a crosswalk system. So I think that might help. That's going to be ready in a couple weeks from now, is what they're telling me from my engineering team. But I think that would be really helpful, specifically when we're talking about these very technical questions on lighting levels.
Excellent. No, that's great to hear, because yeah, we've been getting yes, we've been getting a lot of questions on the RPA requirements. So I'm glad to hear that that is coming. I'll certainly send that over to you, and when it is ready, anyone interested in learning about understanding our RPA compliance. The final question, what is the sensitivity level for the crosswalk detection technology? Will the crosswalk detection technology activate randomly if it's identifying something like an insect, animal, or a tumbleweed, etc.?
Yeah. So yeah, it's a great question. You can establish what we have is the zone. So there's in the SmartHub platform, there's two things that we have to, well, there's multiple things we have to establish for the radar and the setup, but the zone, so where they start crossing, what is that zone? You can make it as large or as small as you deem necessary for that specific crosswalk application. And then there's the cross, so that's the landing zone for our pedestrian. And then we've got the crossing zone. So when they start to move from the landing zone into the crossing zone, that's when it starts to activate. So actually, in some of our testing, I brought my dog out to one of our pilot sites and had him kind of run through the crosswalk. So it did detect him and it did activate. So it really depends on what you have crossing, and if it's entering the landing zone and then it's moving into the crosswalk zone, that's when it's going to start to activate. And also within SmartHub, you can set the sensitivity. Not only can you set the zones and the size of the zone, I think that helps with like falsing and some of those things, but you can also set the sensitivity. We did, just to add to that, we also did extensive testing and mitigation on rain and snow in the radar. So we did eliminate a lot of falsing by tweaking some of those settings in the radar to avoid those false activations. That's really important to us. So setting the zone configuration will go a long way, setting that correctly in avoiding falsing. And then I think there's some of the sensitivity settings in there as well. So yes, it will detect animals crossing through if they cross exactly into the landing zone and through the crosswalk zone.
Perfect. No, that's great. That's great to hear. Yeah, great answer. I think that's all the questions that we have for today, it looks like, but I'll certainly reach out to anyone with a question or providing our answers writing, especially for some things like ERPA requirements, information on the conflict warning systems. And thank you everyone for staying with us today. If you're still here, I know we went a bit over time, but I'm glad to see there were so many questions on this topic. It was a very important topic. Thank you, Denise, for joining us and providing all that excellent information on what TAPCO, the TAPCO Smart Controllers, all the new TAPCO innovations for smart black safety. And I'll be getting back to everybody here with a copy of the presentation. And if you have any questions, again, please feel free to reach out to us here at Bermudan. I'm Harrison, and there's my email and phone number here. And thank you again for attending today.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Harrison.
Excellent. Thank you, Denise. Have a great day. Rest of your day, everybody.